So good morning, welcome along to Eclipse Motorcycles, out again on one of these. I think this is about bike number 14 or 15 that we've done on the Lexmoto Titans. Lovely little scooter this, and my favourite one as well. This one is in the grey and black, and this one's going out to one of our customers, Martin. So this is a ride test for his purpose, to see the bike being ridden at the correct speed and all being running and showing no issues with the motorcycle. This has got all the added extras on it, so it has the Lextech alarm that we've demonstrated on previous videos, and this one also has the 32 litre top box on. As we say, fitting top boxes, we do them slightly different. You can just bolt them direct to the rack. We remove the rear plastic panel and we cut this in so it moulds around these rear hand grips, so you're fitting on the metal plate. That top box then has absolutely no movement in it compared to if you just mount the top box straight onto the plate that comes with the Titan. So we do it slightly differently, and it does make for a better fitting. So just getting it onto the bike, taking it off the main stand on these very simplistic controls. Start button and kill switch to the right. On the left hand side you've got the horn on the bottom, hazard lights, indicators and the high and main beam. Very loud horn on these. So nice little horn on this one, and the speedo on this is in kilometres around the outside, mileage on the inside, and then your odometer here is in kilometres, fuel tank to the centre, and then you've got your rev counter to the right hand side of the bike. So we're going to take this one out into traffic, and we're going to get some miles up this morning. I have got a few rides to do today. So obviously my first week back from holiday, and I've come back to a load of bikes to test ride, which is good for me because I do like getting out on these bikes. So just winding these up, these do get up to 40 mile an hour very, very quickly. Very easy to see on the clocks on this, and I always say 10, 11, 12 o'clock. So 30, 40, 50 is 10, 11 and 12 o'clock on the speedo. So it's very, very easy to see exactly where you are. As always, mirrors on these lovely and high and wide, so you get a perfect view of the road behind. Now if you've watched the previous videos that I've done, I have done so many of these Titans, and we tend to go on about different bits and pieces with the Titans, but do my usual little checks that I do. So we're going to come in on the front brake and pull it up really hard, just to check the effectiveness of the damping on this, on the forks, and just to check out that the front disc is pulling up correctly. And then when we get down the road on the dual carriageway, what I will do when we come off again, I check the rear brake on this. As always, I tend to take one hand off when I'm about halfway through the ride, just to check the stability of the bike and make sure that it's all pulling up correctly. And obviously very, very cold morning, so thank God for pin locks inside my visor, otherwise I would be steaming up. But if you are thinking of getting a crash helmet, see if you can. We had a couple of customers in yesterday that were asking about what helmet should I buy. Should I just go down the road? Should I go to Halfords and buy one of the 30 quid ones? No. Always check with your motorcycle dealer that it is a CE or an approved helmet. It has a sharp rating on it, and I would be looking to spend at least 50 to 60 pound or more on a crash helmet. Obviously my LS2 that I'm wearing is about 380 quid. My last crash helmet was a carbon Craft Barracuda. That was £750. I tend to spend a lot of money on my crash helmets. I've got one head, and I like to keep the couple of brain cells that I've got in my head intact. So if you're thinking of going down the road, spending 30 quid on a crash helmet from your local bike shop, or Halfords obviously do them as well, or you can go get them on eBay, I would steer clear of those £30 helmets. Only place that I'd be using them is in the garden for a plant pot. So always make sure that you've got a decent crash helmet, you've got one head on, and obviously you'd like to protect that the best. And people say, oh well, I came off my bike but I only had a little knock on my bike. You know, what do you think? Should I wear it again? Once you drop a helmet, replace the damn thing. So that's my view on helmets, personal opinion. Now obviously with these little Titans, they do have a correct running in speed, so 40 mile an hour for the first 500k, as we always state, and then once you get your first service out the way you can go up to 50. Once you get your second service out the way, you're good to go to full speed. Now I tend to test around 40 to 43 mile an hour, So just slightly over. A little bit close, Mr. Taxi, but luckily I got him in my mirrors. I tend to do a lot of shoulder checks and a lot of mirror checks all the time just to see what's coming up behind me. And you do have to watch for those vehicles coming around you in the first lane. Can be a little bit daunting at times, but if you're used to it, and obviously I'm quite an experienced biker, so I tend to know what is coming up behind me all the time. I'm constantly watching the shoulders or the mirrors, doing my shoulder checks all the time. But I would always say make sure that you do run these in at the correct speed. Now obviously other dealers, especially on the YouTube channels, oh, it's a load of bumps. No, you can go straight up to full speed. If that's what that dealer tells you, then fine. But Lexmoto actually state 40 mile an hour, then 50 and then 60. Follow your running in procedures. That will save the longevity of your engine. We have had so many bikes over the last couple of weeks that are 125s, obviously not Lexmoto, where they've gone in, absolutely ragged the pants out of them for the first couple of thousand miles, and we get them in and, oh, my bike's running really slow, or it's blowing smoke out the exhaust. That's because you've absolutely ragged the engine, you've not run it in, and you've done a load of damage to it. So always run in a bike. Now we had one in yesterday, and 9,679 kilometres on it. He's on about his 5th service, came in for an MOT, and I said to him, God, you've cracked some mileage out on this? Yeah, I use it every day. I do about 25 miles a day there, 25 miles a day back. And have you had any issues? No. Did you run it incorrectly? Of course I did. Services are always on time. He said, I don't mind paying out for the services. Now obviously he went to another dealer and he was paying, I think, about £120 a service. We charged £99.50 at Eclipse, but other dealers charge different prices. We charge different prices. Obviously some dealers will do a lower price than what we do, but always make sure that you get your bike serviced on time. So what we're going to do now, we're going to crack up a bit more dual carriageway mileage. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about these Lexmoto Titans. As I always say, these Titans are absolutely bomb-proof. Unless you're an absolute idiot and you don't know what you're doing with one of these, if you stick to your maintenance regime, these things just go on and on and on. They are a lovely scooter. And the Titan is my favourite one of the lot. And the question we had raised yesterday is, other Lexmoto scooters faster than the Titan? And my question to him back was, why would you need to go anything more than 60 mile an hour? Oh, my friends are telling me that I can get 75, 80 out of their 125s. Fine. But for the extra couple of minutes that you're doing for 60 mile an hour compared to 75, you're going to, alright, so if you're going a little bit faster, you're going to get there a little bit quicker. But if you are ragging around at top speed, how long is that bike going to last? So for the extra few minutes that you've got, poddling along at 60 rather than 70, is it going to make any difference to your journey? Well, not really. So why would you need to go any faster? And he said, oh yes, but the Enigma and the Diablo of my friends have all got Enigmas and Diablos, and they do 65, 70. They probably do, but of all the bikes, the Titan is the most reliable, and that is my opinion only. Obviously I love these Titans. We have ridden the Enigma, we have ridden the Diablo. Diablo is a very, very nice bike. The Enigma, personal view on that, I think the Enigma is a very ugly bike. It's not as trendy or as aesthetic as this one. And obviously the Titan is a very good looking scooter, especially if it's got that top box on it. So off to college or school in the morning, chuck your backpack in your top box, get to the other end, get your backpack out, put your helmet in your top box, off you go into class or whatever. And then vice versa, when you come out, grab your backpack, stick it on your back, stick your helmet on, and away you go. It does what it says on the tin. So currently at 8 kilometres in on this one, and look in position 1. just obviously keeping my eye on the traffic, and it just soaks up. Obviously you can see the ruts and the potholes in the road. That suspension and that damping really is effective on these bikes. Lovely big padded seat on this as well. So you could go for miles on one of these. An ideal urban commuter as well, or something to put on the back of your motorhome. It is a nice small compact size compared to things like the Enigma and the Diablo. So the Titan is an ideal sort of touring scooter as well, if you want to just put it on the back of your motorhome. So what we're going to do now, we're going to crack some more mileage onto this, and then I shall come back into you when we've back into the urban ride. So catch up with you guys in just a few, and we'll tell you a bit more about the Lexmoto Titan. So back off the dual carriageway, heading back to the garage. Lexmoto Titan 125. We've got currently 22 on the clock, so a few more to knock up. Just the final few on this, but absolutely running perfectly. Never have an issue with the Titan, which is a wonderful thing. Every single Titan I have ridden, but absolutely zero issues. So they do come very, very good build. Obviously our PDI team and QC team are very, very good at what they do, at highlighting all the issues, picking up on things that are needed. And this is due to be handed over to the customer in the next couple of days. Effective braking on this, so we're just going to come in on the rear on the combined braking system on this one. Just pull it down nice and gently, and it does work well on that combined braking. And we're just going to do a few back roads on this one, get rid of the dual carriageways. And then just pushing it through those corners, it does handle very, very well for a small scooter with small wheels. And now another question that we had on this one was the tyres. Yes, they are nylon tyres on these, but the tyres are very, very effective. They do just as good a job as rubber. In the dry, they're absolutely perfect. In the wet, obviously you're not going to be leaning it as much, but if you are, obviously just remember you are on nylon tyres, not full rubber. You can obviously run these tyres out, and then when you come around to your next tyre change, put some decent rubber on them. But the tyres that Lexmoto put on these are very, very effective, and they do the job. And a lot of the scooter tyres now these days are the nylon tyres. Personally, I like a decent set of rubber, and I obviously tell people if you are going up for tyres, go for something like a Michelin, a Bridgestone. Not a big lover of Avon tyres. Pirellis, obviously, I find great for sports bikes, but very, very expensive if you are looking at putting them on a normal bike. So obviously I normally say Michelin or Bridgestones. Good all-round tyre. If you're looking for a good all-round sort of performance and touring tyre, you can't get better than the Bridgestone BT 023s. Or if you're looking at Michelin, something like the Pilots or the Pilot Streets, Pilot Road, Power RSs, Michelin do a very, very good selection of tyres, and obviously I'm very Michelin biased because all my bikes have always had Michelins on them. Have tried Pirellis. Yes, nice sticky tyre, but overly expensive. Bridgestones are very, very good tyre as well. BT023s, absolutely love them. I've had a few bikes that have had Bridgestones on, but I've always changed it out for Michelin. Avons, personal choice, wouldn't touch Avons with a barge pole. And going by the comments that we've had from other bikers, they all hate Avons as well. But obviously that's personal choice. If you are changing your scooter tyres up, have a shop around. Google is a wonderful thing for checking out what other people think of certain items. And the same goes for the Lexmoto bikes. You're going to get your haters, you're going to get your lovers. Personally, I like my sports bikes. I'm not a cruiser or a scooter lover, but I love riding these little Titans. It's just something different, and they just keep going and going and going. It's just a lovely little scooter, this one. So very, very impressed with the Titan range. But obviously this one rode absolutely perfectly. 25k on the clock, and we're heading back to the garage. Obviously if you've got any questions, do feel free to post them below. We will answer any questions that you've got. You've got obviously your views. I love comments of people that give their opinions of scooters, what they think of the engines, what they think of the bikes in a whole. And I always love to hear the negative and the positive comments on bikes, and we try to answer absolutely everything. And obviously we've got absolute loads of Titans coming in, so if you are in the market for a Lexmoto Titan, Eclipse Motorcycles have loads of them at the moment. Give us a call 01908 643 603. And as always, all the social media on my website, redbomb.co.uk, Eclipse Motorcycles Facebook, and their website is on the first page, and then all my social media on the last page. That's the Instagram, Facebook, YouTube and the Twitter. So we've been out riding the Lexmoto Titan 125, this one in grey and black, and we've got a few more rides coming up this week. So until the next ride, guys, be well. If you're out there riding, ride safe, it's getting colder, and until the next time, from RB, it's a big goodbye from me.